I grew up in a house where women spoke softly and worked loudly, where men ate first and girls cleaned after, where being good meant being quiet. My mother used to say, "Mija, peace is better than pride." And I believed her. I learned early that swallowing your truth hurts less than spitting it out. When I met Luis, he felt like freedom, until he didn't. He was charming in that dangerous kind of way, the kind that makes you forget to notice the warning signs. He'd say all the right things, look at me like I was the only one in the room, and for a while, I believed that too. But slowly, that charm turned into control. He never raised a hand to me, but his words, they hit harder than fists ever could. "You're lucky I'm still here. No one else would put up with you." And little by little, I stopped recognizing the girl in the mirror. We had two girls, Camila and Sofia. When they cried, he told me I was raising them weak. When they laughed, he told me I let them run too wild. And somewhere between keeping him calm and keeping them safe, I forgot who I was. Until one morning, I reached out to fix Camila's hair and she flinched. That tiny motion broke something inside me. That's when I knew, this cycle ends with me. I packed 2 bags, one for the girls, one for Hope. Luis laughed when he saw me leave. "Go ahead," he said. "See how long you last without me." I didn't answer. I just walked out. For the first time in years, I was scared. But I was free. My uncle let us stay in his basement, low ceilings, peeling paint, one window that barely opened. But it was ours. It was safety. And for a while, that was enough. He was kind at first, but as months passed, I could tell we were becoming a burden. He'd lost hours at work, was behind on payments, and one night, he finally said it, "Maricela, I sold the house. The new owner moves in next month." He wasn't cruel, just tired. Still, his words felt like the ground disappeared under me. Again, I had to start from zero. I spent days applying for every job, every room for rent. Nothing. And then one Tuesday, the world broke again. The school called. Sofia had gotten sick. They said she'd eaten something off the floor. By the time I got there, she was pale and shaking. No insurance. No savings. Just fear. I tried everything my abuela taught me, ginger tea, honey, prayer. But by midnight, her lips were dry, and she could barely stand. That's when fear took over pride. I wrapped her in a blanket and ran to the ER. As I held her in my arms, I called Luis. I told him Sofia was sick, really sick. I thought maybe, just maybe, the father in him would care. He sighed and said, "You left. You took them with you. You made your bed, now lie in it." Then he hung up. And that's when I knew I was truly on my own. Standing outside the ER doors, the night air cut through me. No money, no help, no husband. Just me and my girls. And that would have to be enough. They took Sofia in. I sat in the waiting room, hands trembling, trying not to fall apart. The walls smelled like bleach and loneliness. Every beep of the monitor reminded me how fragile life can be when you have nothing. Then I heard a voice. "Maricela, is that you?" It was Marcus, my high school friend. He'd become a nurse. Same gentle smile, same calm voice. He sat beside me and listened, really listened. When I told him everything, he said softly, "You don't have to do this alone. I've got a spare room. Move in with the girls." That night, for the first time in months, I slept without fear. Life got better, but not easier. Rent was higher. The bills never stopped. But I had peace, and peace was a luxury I hadn't felt in years. Every night, after the girls were asleep, Marcus and I would sit in the kitchen talking about everything and nothing. He had this way of listening that made silence feel safe. One night, he laughed and said, "You know, your story's a movie waiting to happen." I laughed too, but later those words echoed in my head. Maybe my story was worth telling. Maybe I had something the world needed to hear. The next morning, I searched, "How to tell your story online." That's when I found InVideo, a platform that said, "Turn your words into videos." No camera. No budget. Just your story. That night, I wrote about the hospital. About fear, faith, and friendship. I made my first video. It wasn't perfect, my voice cracked in places, the music was too loud, but it was mine. I uploaded it everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. A few likes, a few hearts, then silence. But something had shifted. It wasn't about going viral. It was about finally saying everything I'd been holding in. So I kept going. Every night after work, I'd sit by the window and type about my childhood, my heartbreak, my hope. Each video was a tiny piece of my healing. A confession wrapped in courage. A letter to the woman I used to be. Months passed. Then one morning, I woke up to my phone buzzing nonstop. Thousands of notifications. Hundreds of messages. One video, a small story about leaving abuse, had gone viral. Millions of views across platforms. The comments wouldn't stop. "This is my story too. You helped me leave. You gave me hope." That day, I cried until I couldn't breathe. Not because I was sad, but because I finally knew my pain had purpose. Soon, shelters and non-profits started calling. They wanted me to speak, to share my journey. At first, I was terrified. But standing in front of those women, I saw the same fear I used to carry, and I told them, "You're stronger than what broke you." Marcus used to joke, "You didn't go viral, Mari, you just finally got heard." Maybe he was right. Because the more I shared, the more I realized I wasn't alone. And somewhere between the late nights and the early mornings, between the stories and the laughter, I fell in love with him. He was gentle where Louise was harsh, patient where life had been cruel. He never tried to fix me. He just made space for me to rebuild myself. We spent a year growing together, quietly, steadily. Then one evening in that same little kitchen, where I once cried over unpaid bills, Marcus got down on one knee. He said, "You deserve a love that doesn't hurt." And I said yes, not just to him, but to the woman I'd become. Now, we own a small house, cracked paint, noisy pipes, but peace in every corner. The girls chase each other in the yard, their laughter echoing through the rooms. I write my scripts by the window while Marcus hums in the kitchen. We're getting married next spring. Every night, before I upload a new video, he smiles and says, "Tell them your truth, sunshine." And I do. Because every story I tell now is a piece of the fire I built from ashes. I built my life one story at a time. And this one's my favorite. Like, share, subscribe. Created within video, because some stories aren't just told, they're lived.